He's got down. Back to a little bit of the virtual world of production then. We have digital production, we have digital distribution. I would argue that the biggest change going on today is the disappearance of physical media, whether it's in your production or whether it's in your distribution of your product, whether picture, sound, Netflix will be gone, all this stuff. They're not gonna be around in 10 years, guys. But in terms of production, we talked about Herbie Hancock earlier. Let's say you guys are working here and you have a friend back in Chicago or Atlanta or wherever you're from. In 1996, I think, a guy named Willie Henshaw started this company called Rocket Network. He was in a club, as I heard this story from Willie himself. He was in a club, he had a hit in England, made a few $1,000,000, built a studio like artists did back at that point, and started to look at the internet and said, he's sitting with Dave Stewart in a strip club actually at 2 in the morning and said, I have this idea for sharing files and music in real time over the internet. It's probably 98, 99, I think. And I want to talk to Paul Allen. And Dave Stewart says, I have Paul Allen in.
First of all, Dave Stewart was the guitarist and producer of the Eurythmics.
Yeah, with
and Paul Allen, you're going to have to tell them who Paul Allen is.
They know who Paul Allen is? You're
going to have to tell them who
Paul Allen's the co-founder of Microsoft who left after 1 year and is today worth $30 billion, I think. And he founds a lot of music projects. He has a SSL console. He has a Euphonics console on his yacht. So, and he plays guitar. He's in the Millionaire Guitar Club, they call it. Millionaire Guitar. Yeah. But so Willie says, I have this idea and I need to get funding to share and collaborate over the internet, which is new. It's absolutely new. And he says, well, let's call Paul right now. They call him from London, and he gets Paul Allen, says, nods his head, hands him the phone, and he says, I have 30 seconds to pitch my new revolutionary idea to Paul Allen. Did it. Paul Allen handed him back and said, there will be a plane ticket waiting at Heathrow. Come to Seattle. And in that, he founded a company. Now, granted, he had some connections, but it was the idea to collaborate over the internet. You probably don't know this company, Rocket Network. Excuse me. But it allowed musicians in LA to collaborate with a musician in New York in essentially real time. It compensated for delay. It compensated if you have video feeds, you can play. First time they showed it, Herbie Hancock is at an AES show. Yes. And they have a bass player in New York. They have the keyboards, Herbie's in LA. And they brought all the press there, and it failed miserably to the point that after 45 minutes with the whole press there, Herbie said, can we just turn this shit off and jam? An inauspicious beginning. Today, that is Digi-Delivery. DigiDesign bought them, and you will be hearing more and more about this for file exchange, for remote collaboration, for mix approval, all done through a Digi-secure system. Your bass part can come from anywhere. With FTP sites, you all probably have dealt with FTP sites and such. You've dealt with MP3s for mix approval. This is what I call the virtual world of production. I'm not advocating. I'm still a believer that you need to have musicians in a room. I am an advocate if you need to replace a bass part, you can find them anywhere. and you should. There's one other aspect I'd like to talk about in production, just briefly, a term you may be familiar with or may be hearing a lot about called cloud computing. Anybody familiar with that term? Cloud computing, where you will not even be buying software, all done through the internet. If you want to work with Reason, you will work with Reason and you will never have to buy it. I think you'll see that coming, folks. It'll invade our industry. It's invaded other industries, and it's certainly going to. But it means that you never have to have not just disks. You'll never have to download a copy of your favorite software. If you want to work with Logic on your next project, you're basically renting software or time, and it'll track it for you. You'll know who else is using that software. You'll be able to go into a database and say, can I find another Logic keyboard player? That's all coming. That's what I call virtual production. You are not tied to your room. You are not tied to your geographic location. And then we have the virtual world of distribution. This is how digital, what used to be, my theme being here, that what used to be a physical piece of hardware with analog and digital conversion is becoming a virtual world where once you get something into the ether, you're able to play with it in any way you want, whether you're a game composer, whether you're an animator, whether you're a film producer working in Final Cut, any of this software-based material, you will be able to, the world is your oyster. It really is. You can collaborate with anybody at any time. When we talk about the virtual world of distribution in our industry, I don't know how many of you saw the news announcement that iTunes became the second largest distributor of music product, music units, after Walmart. Walmart is the #1 distributor of music in the world. How many of you bought music at Starbucks? Any of you bought music at Starbucks? If you bought it, you can now not just buy the disc, you can download it, you can make your own CD right there at certain stores. You can walk in, they have Wi-Fi Starbucks, you can download and you can make your CD while you're waiting for your latte. Any tune that they carry, from the Here catalog, the Concord Jazz catalog, any number of that. This is all coming as a means of distribution. And yet, the #1 carrier of music in the world is 26 years old and contains 680 megabytes of information. I don't get it. Why that's happening, I'll never know. 4 billion, I have an 18-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old daughter, and I watch how they, I buy CDs, I still do. I buy them for them. They would not go to a store. If I know they like Iron and Wine, I buy the CD. I don't know what the point of this talk is, except to say, you guys have a rare opportunity. I work in the media industry, right? And I had a lot of crusty old journalists who think the internet's going away. You know, that internet's never going to catch on. Well, never, you know. They want to read. Yeah, well, you're going to die a slow death too, sir. But it's the most exciting time possible. I used to run a magazine. I used to be the editor of Mix magazine. I've added Remix to the portfolio. Now we're doing electronic musician as well. It used to be easy. I could do on a nice monthly schedule. Now I have a weekly newsletter for all 3 magazines. I have custom newsletters if Apple decides they want to send something out. I have 3 websites. I have an event coming up in Nashville that I have to create a website for. I have to get panelists for. I'm going to Miami tomorrow for the Remix Hotel. And the point being that my job in 10 years has changed from putting out Mix magazine to at least 3 different types of media that are being distributed over. Your job over the next 10 years, you can't even imagine what it might look like right now. Where your music is going, how you will get your music heard, how you will get your friends' music heard. The time is wide open for ideas, folks, and if I've talked at a few colleges, I envy you at this point. If I were starting out in journalism today and I had the internet and first learned of a blog in 1982 and was able to blog, my life would be different. It'd be very different. I'd come at it. I've enjoyed what I've done in the music industry, and I think it's just beginning. I do think we have a rare opportunity now, folks, for distribution. And I don't think ideas come out of Los Angeles and New York exclusively. I don't think they come exclusively out of Nashville. I think a good idea is born where a good idea is born. And with that, so what's ahead? What's ahead for you guys? It's not easy to predict. I'm going to ask you to tell me where you're hearing music, how you hear music today, how you like to produce music, what you see coming, but recognize the difference between a physical world and a virtual world, and I think you'll do all right.
Question.